Namaste and welcome to Dragonfly Kukri and Knives. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about another of the handmade kukris from Nepal. And this particular kukri house is one that has raised the bar. I talked in one of my earlier videos about Himalayan imports and how Himalayan imports set the standard. They put out an excellent quality kukri. They introduced the kukri to the American public and to the American consumer. And a lot of the commies from Nepal who were penetrating into the American market had to compete and deal with Himalayan imports that was already there and already set the standard. Well, I'm going to talk about another kukri house that has now raised the bar even higher than Himalayan imports. Now, Himalayan imports puts out an excellent quality kukri, so I'm not in any way bagging on them. But I am going to talk about this particular kukri house and how they've raised this measure bar even higher by the quality of the product that they're putting out and how they're really helping the kukri industry reach a higher level of a better product that's more user-friendly and is probably among the best kukris that have ever been produced from Nepal. And we're talking about, these are the new masters. These are the guys who are putting out every bit as a good quality kukri that their ancestors were putting out before the modern era, like in the Victorian era. So these are really, really good quality kukris. And the company I'm talking about, or the kukri house I'm talking about, is Tora Blades. Now, the owner of Tora Blades is Simon Hingle. He actually operates the business from Great Britain, where he lives with his wife. Both of them do the business. Simon is the guy who's out there doing the videos, and also he's the one who goes to Nepal and talks to his commies and introduce them with the new products that he wants to replicate. And what he does is he does a lot of replication of military grade kukris that was used during the time of war, whether it be World War I, World War II, or perhaps in the War of the Falklands, for instance. He does a lot of research. He has a great deal of knowledge about all the various different units of Gurkhas and the different engagements they were in. He oftentimes in his video series will introduce books, and I have built my library on some of the books that he has recommended over the years. Another thing is that I owe a great deal of debt to him because of his videos that he does and the strong video presence he has in being the representative of kukris, has really taught all of us a great deal about the kukris and the history behind them. Has put out the thought, anyways, in people's minds as to what the good quality or the bad quality of a kukri is. Whether we agree with him or not is beside the point. The thing is, he's asking the questions and he's bringing up the issues. And these are things that when you're a knife collector, as I am, and it's not just kukris I collect, these are important issues in any type of knife that you're going to start collecting and actually start using. These are all important issues. Something that's too heavy and too heavy to carry. Like, for instance, my son was in the airborne. He was in the Army. If I was to give him a Himalayan imports kukri and he's going to go jump out of a plane, guess what gets left behind? It's not going to be his backpack and all his gear. It's going to be the kukri because it's too heavy. Whereas if I give him a Mora blade, that is going to be on him, and he's going to jump out of that plane with no problem and have a very useful knife that's light and easy to carry. So, point being is some of the things that Simon has raised in concerns about the quality of various different kukris have a very important relevance. And you'll hear me talk about a lot of those same relevance in the videos that I will be doing, whether it be now or in the future. So, and hence Simon is a guy who has done a lot of videos and has educated all of us a great deal about the kukris, and particularly about the military kukris. So in that sense, whether you like him or hate him, he has given us a great deal of a wealth of knowledge in this area. Now, he started off as a martial artist. He still is a martial artist. I think he started practicing martial arts back when he was about 10 years old. A lot of the information that I've gathered about him in this part of the video where I'm talking about him, you can actually read in further depth on his website. He has a very user-friendly website, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. But a little background about Simon. Simon has studied martial arts. He's a master martial artist. He's studied kickboxing and Thai boxing, taekwondo, karate, and various other styles. And he's actually holds dans in them, different levels of dance. So he is a master martial artist. He does know what he's talking about when he's talking about martial art forms. And he is, in his youth on up to, especially in his teens, he became very keen and interested in the Japanese swords and also in the kukri. And this had a lot to do with his father and also his father's friends who happened to be former Gurkhas. So they would talk about the kukris. So, Simon has a lot of first-hand knowledge, or at least second-hand knowledge, about the kukris and how they were used and what was a good kukri and what was a bad kukri by talking to the Gurkhas who used them. And these are Gurkhas that came out of the First World, or maybe the First World War, but definitely the Second World War, and then some. Probably were continued during the Korean conflict or maybe the Vietnam conflict, and how they used the kukris in those events. So this is based on a lot of good knowledge. Well, back in 1998, Simon started the Tora Kukri Supplies Company, and he ordered a small amount of kukris from a well-known and well-respected kami. But much to his dissatisfaction, he ended up getting a lot of kukris that was not to the standard that he felt they should be, and certainly not to the standard of what his the commies that he knew, or not commies, but the Gurkhas that he knew through his father, and the quality of the kukris that they may have showed him or talked about. So that really kind of got him a little excited. Now, you remember I talked about Lynn Thompson, how Lynn Thompson as a martial artist kept using knives and breaking them, and it really got him frustrated, so he went to the drawing board and he started producing a really strong and durable knife that isn't going to break on him. Well, Simon is kind of like that Lynn Thompson. He's a guy who was not satisfied with that first batch of kukris that he got. It didn't meet the standard or the quality that he knew that they could be. So he set out to make a better kukri, one that was true to what was actually being used by the Gurkhas in the time of war. And so, hence, Tora blades really started going off. Now, about 2005 is when Simon feels that he finally hit the mark. He found a kami who understood what he was trying to go after, the quality that he needed. And together they put together a kami team and was producing kukris that were meeting that mark. The first one that he did was a Gorkha Army Kukri, which is one of the ones that was actually used during the time that Nepal was at war with Great Britain. So that was one of the first kukris that they put out. After some time, Tora finally decided that, and Simon decided to take Tora blades and get it registered in Nepal. Now, he really couldn't do that himself because he's not a citizen there. But he did have a commie who was also a very trusted friend of his, and the two of them together was able to register Tora Nepal Enterprises, which is what they're known as in Nepal, and the commie's name is Ravi, who was a good friend of Simon's and still is a good friend of Simon's. Now, Ravi is the one who actually manages the different factories that they're manufacturing these kukris from. Now, of course, all these kukris are 100% traditionally handmade kukris. They're not, no modern equipment or anything like that is being used on these. But Tora now has, as of 2016, now has 2 factories in which they're producing these kukris. So that's a little background on Simon and who he is and what's coming in, what his emphasis is. Now, his main emphasis with the kukris that he produced are more military based. So he's going off of the kukris that each of the Gurkha units may have used, their different battalions and different engagements that they may have been in, and that's what he's basing a lot of his kukris on. It's not exclusively that. He'll take others that are like villagers and like the common kukri and also produce those. But the bulk of his kukris are military oriented. They come from the military lineage and history. So when you're buying a Tora Blades kukri, more likely you're buying something that has a very strong military historical link and has so if you are a person who loves studying about World War II and love studying about the Gurkhas in World War II, then owning one of his World War II models of kukris that he patterned after an original will be a great item to have in your collection, to get out there and use and have a sense of tactile connection to history. And that's one thing I really love about historical blades, is that when you're picking it up in your hand, you have that connection with the past of how it may have been used and what engagements and how it may have saved somebody's life, and unfortunately sometimes in the miserable task of taking another life in saving a life. With that all being said, I'm going to start going with what I have. I have about 11 kukris to get through, so I'm going to try to be really quick. Now, when Simon first started doing his kukris, some of the quality isn't as good as it was to this day, which is not a bad thing to say. It's actually a very good thing to say. It shows growth. It shows development. It shows ingenuity. It shows the lack of satisfaction. So there's no mediocrity here. He is trying and striving to put out a better product, and that is a great place to be, and where I wish all the commies were in that place from Nepal, because they would be goose-stepping right along with Simon and falling into line and putting out even better products than some of them are doing. They're very capable of doing it. Many of them are very, very talented and very gifted, and it's their life. They've been born into this life. They learn it from their parents, and then they continue on and they teach it to their children. And if they could take this type of skill and give it to their children and their children's children, then this is the kind of quality product that we will be seeing from all the commies coming from Nepal. And so, he does a great job in being a good example in that regard. So one of the first kukris, and some of the kukris I acquired were from people who were maybe getting rid of some of their Tora collection, or Some of them are um, wanting to get more product, so they lighten the load by getting rid of older product. So some of the older pieces I've actually gotten on eBay, and this is one of them. Now, the owner of this particular kukri really liked it and really used it, and he liked it well enough to where he actually did an acid treatment on the blade to try to diminish the rust potential. And so this blade's not going to look really fancy, but it's going to have a really nice, beautiful patina on it. And this was done probably with vinegar and some type of other type of acidic to etch the blade to help prevent it from rusting. Now this one is a tin chira. It has 3 chiras on it. It's a thicker blade than what you will find on most Tora blades. It's about a 5/16 of an inch at the bolster, and does taper down towards the tip. Very, very nice blade. It's about a 13-inch, maybe a 12-inch blade, and 5-inch handle. This one is not as curved as some Tora blades, but again, this is an older blade of his. It does have the Hindi text on it, which he used to put on some of his older blades. This one also did come with that parchment with the tiger on it that he does. Very beautiful cowdy on this. Very beautiful design up here with the brass inlays. It's an excellent, beautiful kukri. I'm very happy to have been able to acquire it. Now, I don't know that this is the original frog on this. It definitely is of the quality standard of Tora blades, and that's a very thick and durable and very wide enough belt loop to fit on a military belt or some other belt. It does slide off, which is a characteristic of Tora blades. But most of Tora blades use a different type of frog system. They do go with a more military style. But again, this is one of his earlier blades. Now, what's very characteristic of Tora blades is they put really usable kardas with their and chakmaks with their kit. So this knife right here is absolutely fantastic. It's got a beautiful horn handle with nice marbling on it. It's high polished like the blade originally was. And it has a nice Scandi grind on it. Very nice long blade. You can actually use this for skinning, for chopping, for whittling. It's a very functional, almost an EDC knife. You could use it as a neck knife, or you could have a little belt, a little sheath that you could put on your belt, and you'd have a little EDC knife that you'd carry around every day. It's that good. It's a 100% functional blade. It also comes with a beautiful chakmak. This is just excellent. And I love the handle, the horn handle with the rooster crest on the top. I don't know that they really call it that, but I call it that because it reminds me of a rooster. But it's a traditional design and very beautiful and very functional. And it does come with a tender pouch. So just a wonderful, it has a thicker scabbard than what Simon likes and talks about. But, this is the early days, and it's still a higher and better quality than what you would probably have seen, in that day. I don't know how old it is. It could be, roughly around 2005, 2006 when it was made. Same thing with this one. This one I also did purchase off of eBay. Somebody was lightening their collection, and I was the happy one who got to win the bid on this. And this one is actually a Duchira. You have a very nice prominent chira at the spine here, and then a little another one right at the belly here. It's very beautifully done. It does have the Hindi script right here on the side. Very beautiful, elegant blade, but it is a little bit on the heavy side. It's a little thicker. This one is, probably about 5/16, and it does taper down. probably made roughly around the same year as that one. And it has a beautiful horn handle. This one has a little bit more of the curve that you would find on most of Tora blades. They'll tend to have a little bit more of a semi-pistol grip, which actually fits your hand very well. It's very comfortable, very ergonomic, and very conducive for the geometry of the blade for chopping and for slash cuts and draw cuts. So it's a very useful, very good handle. Not too thin, not too thick. Like this one really makes you feel like you're shaking somebody's hand. It just has a really good grip to it. Very comfortable. But for a Tora blades, this one is pretty heavy from what you're used to with the more recent ones. Now this one has a little bit thinner scabbard. So here you can see where he's trying to get his kami to make a thinner scabbard. This one does not have the tender pouch, but again you have that very user-friendly, very functional karta and a very traditional and also very useful chakmak. This one has a little bit more of the traditional design to the blade. You probably could even use it to pop open a beer. And again, you have the rooster crest on it. So very traditional, very beautiful. Another one that I'm not really positive that this is a Tora blade, but I remember seeing it on their website, and it does have the characteristics of a Tora blade. It does not have a card, it does not have a chakmak, but it has that very, very true and very thick military type frog with the buttons, brass buttons. It does not slide off, which makes it a little suspicious to me, but it is a very good quality leather. It is thick again, so it's probably roughly around the same time that one was made. But the blade itself is really fantastic. It has an ikchira, which is a hollow forge, all the way down the blade, which really lightens this very large and fat blade. This is just a very fast and light, excellent kukri. So if it isn't one of Simon's blades, then somebody was out there trying to mimic his stuff and got very, very close, because this is, by all intents and purposes, a Tora blade. And it has a very beautiful cowdy on it. It has the brass bolster and butt plate keeper. Very curved, very pronounced curved handle, but beautiful horn with great marbling on it, and very comfortable in the hand. It's a very excellent piece. But I do remember seeing a kukri on his website. They're no longer making it, that looked identical to this. This is the only one that out of all the kukris from Tora blades that I've acquired, that did not have the little parchment with the lion on it. So that's why I'm a little suspicious of it. But I'm 90% sure it is a Tora blade. Now the next one that I got off of eBay, was somebody lightening their load again, was this earlier version of the World War, I believe it's the World War I Battalion 1/6 Kukri. And it's a very beautiful design. It's excellent design. A thinner blade, it's about 1/4 inch. It does taper a bit down to the tip. Very slight hollow forged. This one is more of a satin finished, which is a little bit unusual for a Tora blade. Most of them are high polished. This one has a polished bolster and a butt plate without a keeper. It's peened over, and also has the screws that you would see that are inset, which really makes it stand out as a Tora blades, because Tora blades is the only company that I know that actually takes the time to do that, to mimic what was actually being done during the time of war, during World War II, or in World War I. So this is an excellent, excellent quality kukri, very well done. And this one again did not come with a karda or chakmak or the tender pouch, but it does have the military frogs that does slide off. Very good quality scabbard. Again, a little bit on the fat side for Tora blades, and this is why I call it the earlier version, because they do have a version now that has the patuka buttons. It comes with the card and the chakmak and the tender pouch, but the blade style is the same, high polish though. Another one, this is the last one that I acquired off of eBay, and I don't know why somebody would have gotten rid of this, because this is really, really beautiful, but I'm the happy owner now, and I don't have any plans of getting rid of it, not in my lifetime anyways. This is a beautiful Fort Williams replica of a World War I MK1 kukri. It's hollow forged. Now the owner, the original owner of this, did blue the blade to try to diminish some of the rusting capabilities, so that bluing on the blade actually even makes it look prettier. But it's a light blue. It's a light bluing. It's not a deep dark bluing on it. Hollow forged, beautiful Fort Williams characterized cowdy, and it has the dots on both sides for the temper, what they thought was the hardness check. Steel bolster that also was blued, by the way, and it has a very true design of the handle. There were actually two different handle sizes. One was shorter and the other one was long. This is the long one, but they tend to be very straight, and it has the sunken bolt there for the tang keeper that's sunken into the wood, and so it's a stick tang that goes all the way through. Just fantastic. This, and again, the handle fits the hand just perfect, and it comes with such an excellent quality scabbard and frog. This frog is just great. It's a very stiff leather, double stitched, and it's very sturdy, and does the job very, very well as a frog. And with this ribbing over it, there's no way it's going to slide out. All in all, just an excellent, excellent military replica of and I don't think this gets any better. I don't know that you could replicate an MK1 any better than this. This is it. He nailed it 100%. Now, the rest of the kukris I actually bought from Simon's website. So like most of you guys, I had to wait for a long time. Sometimes you get lucky on his website and you'll actually get something that he has in stock. When I bought this one, they actually had it in stock, so it came rather quickly to my door, much to my pleasure. Now this is just a very, very beautiful Sarapati, and this one is called the Sherpa Sarapati on his website, and it's still offered on his website. Beautiful quality scabbard. Again, now you can see he's getting it thinner. He's hitting that benchmark that he set for himself, and he's actually accomplishing it with his kami and the sarkis that are working with him. So this one has patuka buttons and the frog, military frog that slides off. Very good quality leather with the brass buttons. This one does have your tender pouch with the nail in it. He'll actually test the hardness of the blade by cutting a nail in two, and then he puts the nail in the pouch. So that's your proof. It's very much like what you would find when you buy a hand gun here in the States. For instance, let's say Ruger. Ruger will actually test fire the gun, and then they'll put the cartridge in a little pouch, and it's in the case. And when you purchase the gun, you get it home, you can pull that out, and that's the first shell that was fired through the gun to show that it worked properly. So in this case, you get the nail that's in that little tender pouch, and that is your proof that this kukri was able to cut the nail in two, so it has good hardening. This has got this huge chopping area. I love sarapatis. Sarapatis, you know, they're fast becoming my favorite of the kukri designs. Um, that and the hanchi style, just I love the shape. I love how they feel in your hand. They're lighter, yet they're just as strong and durable as the other ones that have a little bit more belly. But look at the elegance of this blade. It's just absolutely beautiful. Hollow forged. It has a very prominent cowdy. The handle is really beautiful with the design. It has a stick tang with the keeper without a brass plate, so you have that beautiful wood handle, and that handle just feels great in the hand. Just really, really good. Beautiful, beautiful sarapati. Excellent design. And it comes with a beautiful, highly polished chakmak, a bit on the traditional side, and then look at this. This is a knife, okay? Full-on knife that came with this sarapati. You could skin animals with this. You can chop. You could actually put it in a sheath and carry it as an EDC on your belt. It is a 100% functional knife, and that's what the original kardas were back in the day. They, if they're going to put that with a knife, it's going to be something they use. It's not meant for decoration, and it's made out of the same steel that the parent blade is. So if the blade is 5160 high carbon steel, so is the karda and the chakmak. Okay. Now another one that I purchased. This one is the British. This is the British service issue, circa 1970 on his website, and this is a very beautiful kukri. Look at the cowdy on that. That's a really beautiful cowdy, hollow forged. This is the design of that era, and has a 5-inch handle, slight curve to it. Some of the ones that you'll see have more straighter handles. This one has a nice curve to it. Very, very comfortable in the hand. And this is a very light kukri. This one, if you needed a sidearm, this is definitely a fighting kukri. This one, it's light, it's nimble in your hand, yet it's a very relevant chopper, but it would be a great self-defense weapon. Great tool to have by your side, especially if your gun jammed on you or whatever, and you needed something quick to defend your life with. This is a great companion for that. And it comes with a very functional karda and a very functional chakmak. And it has the tender pouch with the nail in it, military frogs. It does slide with Batuka buttons. Now, the original military version I don't think had the military buttons. They just have the military frog. But nonetheless, this is a very functional. Look how thin it is. He's hitting it. He's nailing it. He's actually got what his goal was with this particular kukri and with this sarapati that I showed you. And you'll see that all the way down the line. Now, the next one I'm going to show you, and this is sometimes when, I won't say it's overbuilt, but sometimes you get that desired result a little too well. And one of the things that Simon was after was he wanted his scabbards to be thin and also be able to hold the kukri without dropping it. So in other words, it's not a loose fit. It had a tight fit, but you could draw it out very easily. The two that I just showed you has that capability. This one ain't gonna fall out. But the problem is it is so tight that you can barely draw the blade out of its scabbard. And that is a danger, my friends. That becomes, where you're going to try to manhandle it by putting your hand around here. And if you happen to just be lucky and be able to pull it out fast, you might cut right through this leather and cut your fingers off. So it becomes really, really dangerous when it's a tight fit like this. It's too well made to the point where it's too tight. So I have to go down here and pull it out, but I'm able to get it out. Now, when I contacted Simon about this, what he recommended is I soak it in baby oil. So I did. I soaked this for about 48 hours to maybe even 72 hours. Now, it smells really good. It smells like a baby. And it did loosen it up a little bit. But as you can see, I had to struggle to get this blade out. So it still hasn't solved the problem. And I've taken this blade out numerous times. So each time that I do, it does kind of work it a little bit and make it a little bit easier. This is a very beautiful kukri. This one, I believe, is called... I think this one is the World War II 1 and 2nd GR Kukri. And it's a beautiful kukri. I love the slenderness of the blade and the shape of the blade. I love the feel of the handle. The handle is very comfortable in the hand and it's very beautiful. The grains of the wood is just beautiful. The furnishings on it, very nice, very well fitted. It's just a very comfortable kukri. I love the feel in the hand. It has that feeling like you're shaking somebody's hand. In other words, it fits your hand really, really well. And it's a very nice, competent, fast, and historical kukri. The scabbard is well made. It's beautiful, but it is very difficult to get that blade in and out. It comes with a very functional Karda and chakmak. It has the tender pouch with your nail in it, that's showing that it was tested and performed well. Now the next one I'm going to show, and this one is excellent little kukri here. And unfortunately, he pulled it from his website. I don't think he makes it anymore. I didn't see it anyways when I was trying to get the name for it. So I've forgotten the name of it. This one also has a very tight scabbard, but look how thin that scabbard is. He really, he's got it down to where now they're producing a consistent, very thin scabbard to house these kukris with. That make it, and why do you want a thin one over a fatter one? The reason is because when you have it on your side, on your belt, it's not going to be bulky. It's not going to get out, get in the way as much. Granted, this is a big knife. It's going to be hard not to get in the way. But when you have a real fat scabbard, it even becomes more cumbersome. Not only that, it adds weight to the blade, and you want this to be lighter. Remember, soldiers used to carry these into war, and because of that, they needed a light blade, and a fast blade, and a durable blade. Now, this particular one has also a very tight scabbard, not as tight as the other one, but it almost appears like it because I'm having trouble getting it out. Look at this beautiful Sarapati. This one is actually a Duchera. It has 2 cheras on it, and then also it's a very deeply grooved fuller line up at the spine here. So it's almost a chinchera in that regard. Very, very beautiful. I love the cowdy on this. The handle is terrific. This particular handle for me feels like shaking somebody's hand who has a really good grip. This handle is really comfortable. The more that I hold it in my hand, the more it feels like the kukri that I would go to pick up and use on an everyday basis. It's that comfortable. It's just no hot spots whatsoever. It fills the hand just perfectly. Now I have a small hand, as I've mentioned over all the videos. So for this one to fit me really well, um, with my small hand, it may not feel the same for somebody else who has a bigger hand. But for my hand, it fits like a glove. It just, like I'm shaking them. Somebody has given me a good grip in that shake. You feel like, yes, okay, we're friends, And this is a friend. This is a kukri that you're going to want to take out in the field and use. It's very, very light, very fast. Great for martial arts, but it also is going to service you very well, taking it out and using it in the countryside, building shelters and processing your firewood. It's a beautiful, beautiful kukri. And again, he puts it with, and it's a sarapati. It's a smaller sarapati than the other one, but very, very nice. And it comes with an excellent, very useful karda. I love this karda. It has a scandi grind on it. It's a little bit of a curve that makes it look nice. There's even a part where it's not sharp that you can put your finger up there and you can really get a good purchase on it for whittling and stuff. So this particular karda is very, very functional. I really like it. So the total package of this thing is excellent. It comes with a steel chakmak that's traditional in size and shape, and it has the traditional texturing on it, which is going to make it very good for, you can use this for a lot of different things, but the texturing on it will help get rolled edges out of your plate if you get any rolled edges. I doubt that you're going to get any rolled edges, to be quite honest with you, because, again, you remember he does the test with the nail, and it shows that the hardness on the blades is excellent. But I have a nice 90-degree spine on this. You could throw sparks with a ferro rod. Really good. And again, it comes with a tender pouch that has a nail in it. Patuka buttons, and this one has a very loose-fitting frog, easy to come in and out of. If you were running, you could lose this kukri on the ground and just have a frog next to your side. But it's not a really heavy blade either, so this would be a very friendly kukri to take on a trail hike or backpacking. Another one of my favorites on his website is one that's still being offered, and this is the Patuka Gorkhali Kukri. And look at the beautiful slender blade on this. I love the slender design. It almost has a hanchy look. I love the karda on it. I mean the cowdy on it. Beautiful horn handle with nice marbling on it. A nice fit. Now this particular handle, I feel like I'm shaking a lady's hand because it's a little thinner in its shape. Where this one's a man's hand that I'm gripping and shaking. This is a lady's hand. It's a lighter, thinner. It almost has a tendency of wanting to kind of roll a little bit in my hand. But it is still very comfortable and very useful and very, very beautiful. I love the style of this blade. And, excellent scabbard. It does and functions perfectly well, holds it, and yet very easy to draw the blade out and put it back in. So this is how it should be on all of them. And it comes with, useful karda and chakmak. Again, with your tender pouch with the nail in it. Military frog with your patuka buttons. You could slide now this one doesn't slide off very easily. I really have to work it to get it off. It's almost like it's glued on. Which might be because it may have been a little bit wet as far as the dye that they put on, the black dye. It may have kind of stuck it on there. But if I pulled on it hard enough, it feels like it will give, so it will come off. It just takes some work. But I don't really care. I need this attached to it to be more functional for me. The last one I'm going to show is my absolute favorite of his designs, and it's hard to say that because I have other favorites that I like almost as much as this, but this is my favorite of his that I've acquired so far, and that is the Havildar or Havildir, however you pronounce it, Kukri. It's got a hollow forge, which is just lightens that blade up, and yet there's enough blade, enough belly there. It's a very good chopper, and it's just very elegant, very beautiful. Look at that thing, man! It's just gorgeous. I love the design up here. I love the cowdy. The handle has beautiful marbling on the horn handle with the brass accents of the furnishings on it. It's just, all in all, and again, that handshake. Now this one is, it's like shaking a lady's hand, but it's not as thin as the Patuka Gorakali Kukri. This one fills your hand a little bit more, so it's really comfortable to hold and to swing. This is just, it doesn't get much better than this, guys. This is really perfection. It's a Kukri perfection that you're looking at right here. Well balanced. It's excellent. Not too heavy and not too light. Just right. It does come with a very functional karda and chakmak with very beautiful horn handles with great marbling on it. So it's very elegant, very beautiful. Comes with your tender pouch with the nail, Patuka buttons, and your military frog that does slide off. Just excellent, excellent quality. So this gives you a good example of how the progress of a Kukri house that started off with so-so quality. In other words, this is still fat. It's still a little bit on the heavy side, but he starts off with that, and you see it progress all the way to a really fine, light, very useful Kukri that you'll take on a day hike with you or a trail backpacking. And you could use it as a self-defense weapon if you needed to. And you're having a piece of a very accurate model of or reproduction of a military piece that was actually carried by Gurkhas into war. So you're getting a very good representation of the history behind it. So he does an excellent job with that and has really set the standard for a lot of us to reach for. And a lot of Kukri houses are reaching for it and hitting it, like Kaladesh Blades and a few others that I'm going to mention in future videos. So this is it on Tora Blades. If you have any questions or you want more information on these blades, some of these I've done reviews on my Facebook page, so you can actually see the dimensions and weight and size and all that on them. But feel free to message me on my Facebook page at Blue Dragonfly Trading Post. Please like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And by all means, please visit my website at dragonflykukriandknives.com. Thank you very much for watching. Look forward to the next video. We're going to be talking about some of the other newcomers on the block. So until the next video, God bless. Namaste. Thank you.